Good evening, televiewers. You're welcome to Prime Hour, the first for this week. We this evening are going to be discussing Cameroon, describing it as a nation that is at crossroads, asking ourselves whether it is time to rethink, push for national reconciliation. What is it going to take? Where did we falter? We are looking at this evening with our panelists who are in the house already. Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel, the National President of the Reform Party, is in the house with us. Good evening, and glad to have you, Senior Barrister.
Good evening, Mr. Leo. Good evening, the Kangaroo Man. Good evening, Madame Akwen. Good evening, esteemed televiewers. It's always a pleasure being with you. I hope we are going to enjoy the debate.
We also are in the company of Akwen Nadieh. She is the youth leader for the UPC party. Good evening and welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kum. Pleasure having me on your beautiful platform. Good evening to my co-panelists, Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel and Fah Elvis. It's a pleasure being between men tonight. Special greetings to all the televiewers watching from far and near. Today we'll be talking about Cameroon reconciliation, and I want to salute all the African continent, talking about Ghana, because when we talk of Cameroon, we talk of Africa miniature, meaning all Africa is in Cameroon today, and today Cameroon will be looking at its reconciliation. So I want to salute people from Ghana, people from Ethiopia, Nigeria, from the neighboring countries, and I believe that together we're going to find the problems that is hindering Cameroon, which is Africa in miniature.
Fah Elvis is also part of this platform this evening. He is the Undersecretary for Communication of the Cameroon Renaissance Movement, the CRM. Good evening and welcome.
Thanks, Mr. Leo. Good evening to all those who are watching us from wherever they are. It's my pleasure making present today. And special greetings, also to the people of Azikul, as usual. We always be greeting them. The general manager, the board of directors, and a whole lot of others, because sometimes too, you could be talking politics, but you need to put food on the table. And probably because of their preparations with the marathon race and everything to take place in Buea on the 4th of this Saturday, I think it's also making us to know that we also need economic empowerment away from talking politics every day. We also need money in our pockets, and I think that with Azikul, that is Barrister Mumulo Divine, and a host of others who are making it possible for us to converge in Buea, with over 100 athletes who are expected to run for a special race to keep Buea spellbound. I think greetings to the Dio of Buea, Abba Abdurrahman, because we expect him. Of course, we are holding the event under his patronage. And it's an entrepreneurial duo, first of its kind. Very surprising that you have a civil administrator from Enam who is entrepreneurial, which means who wants people to grow economic-wise. So I think because of that, and the paramount ruler of Buea, whom we respect very much, Royal Majesty Dr. Endele Robert, who will all be part and parcel of the event. I think we salute the people of Buea, especially the bona fide Mukwe people, of which we hold special ties with them as far as operating on the foot of Mount Faku is concerned for Azikul and other businesses. It's a pleasure. We will try our modest contribution to make sure that we put things in order the way they are supposed to be according to our own reasoning. Everything being equal, special good evening to every member of Azikul.
Okay, also participating on this edition of the program from Yaoundé, the nation's capital, is going to be Nchia Roland, the national president of the UCPP party. He's going to be participating on Prime Hour for the very first time. In the course of the program, we are going to also listen to him contribute to this topic of tonight. I'll start with you, Senior Barrister Ashu Emmanuel. You are the national president of the Reform Party, a party that has the dream to rule this nation. When you look at Cameroon today, do you agree with the caption given for today's edition, that is a nation that is at crossroads?
Thank you, Mr. Leo. You see, when we were young men and women growing up, we were told that Cameroon was a country that, in which two brothers came together. They were separated by colonialism, and then they came together and decided to live together as one person. But now we we are the people who are supposed to look into the legal niceties of what was presented to us as a union. And unfortunately, you see, for us to look at this, at the caption, we have to examine what went wrong. What is it that went wrong? And then we find out what can be done to remedy the situation. As I earlier said, the country was presented as a country in which two brothers or two sisters came together and decided to live as one person. But today we realize that that is actually not the case. In actual fact, most Cameroonians have come to realize that there is a lot of lies underlying what was presented to us as history. There is a lot of hypocrisy, and all that is found inside what we find today as the legal nomenclature. In fact, you go back to 1960 when the Republic of Cameroon obtained its independence. This nation did not even have a constitution when it attained independence. Its constitution came on the 4th of March 1960. So at the same time, while the Republic of Cameroon was having its own constitution, Southern Cameroons on the 13th of September 1960 also had its own constitution under the Queen of England, which was styled the Southern Cameroon Constitution, Orders in Council, 1960. So in 1961, when it was not time for Southern Cameroons to have independence, we all know the plebiscite. After the plebiscite, the UN had an independence vote for Southern Cameroons, because the Republic of Cameroon was saying loud and clear that Southern Cameroon was a gift, was to be given to it as a gift. So the UN had to put it to vote, and they voted in the famous resolution 1608. Now, in implementing this resolution, the parties had to go to Fumban. They went to Fumban, where they had a constitutional council, and from Fumban they went to Yaoundé. And we are told that miraculously, from those two constitutional councils, there was national unity. But when you look at the whole thing, you see that what certain historians are trying to tell us about what happened, what transpired in Fumban, is false and fake. Because before the Fumban conference, the Southern Cameroonians had a constitutional conference in Manfé, the Manfé Constitutional Conference. And what came out of that conference was that they all resolved to go in for, not for a federation, but for a confederation. They decided to go in for a confederation. It is England, there was a Britain that was pushing them towards a federation, and even proposing that the name of the country should be called Federal United Republic of Cameroon. It was Britain, not the Southern Cameroonians. So when the Southern Cameroonians could not agree as to a federation in Fumban, they could not agree as to a federation in Yaoundé. While they were in the hall, the Republic of Cameroon sent their draft constitution to their own parliament, where it was received as a constitutional amendment of their 1960 constitution, and it came out as the federal constitution of 1961. Yeah. That is that federal constitution which we have been applying till it was changed into the unitary constitution. I mean, the other legal nomenclature follow. So we all now see that we are in a country where, legally speaking, we are being governed by laws that were concocted by one party and not by both parties. Okay. And there is a consequence, sir. The consequence is that, legally speaking, you have a situation where the parliament you have in Cameroon today cannot repeal the Southern Cameroon's constitution. It has no powers to do so, because it is not its constitution.
That's not what we are discussing today.
Oh no, that is one of, look, it is an integral part of what we are talking, because if you don't solve this, you cannot have any legal solution. We have to find a solution to this.
Can I organize a program with you
my pleasure, sir. My pleasure.
So that we look into those, because I'm not sure, Akwen, you understand what the Pastor is saying?
Yeah, Mr. Kum, you know, we're talking about...
I want us to first appraise
yes.
the nation, a nation at crossroads. there are conflicts almost everywhere. There's Boko Haram up there. There is this concept of Tongtina, Anti-Sadina. There is all of this. How do we understand? How did we come to where we are today?
Well, Mr. Kum, you know, in the past years, Cameroon has been known of a country of peace. You know, we've been enjoying peace. Yeah, we've been enjoying a lot of peace in Cameroon in the past years. But recently, with the happenings and politics that has taken over Cameroon, you will see that things are going left and right. Cameroon is at the verge of exploding, if I may say, because we are having a lot of problems. Recently, we had, you know, what is happening in Bali. That's another problem in Cameroon.
Bali?
In the northern, Bali, with people whose Bali in Douala, people's house that are being destroyed. That's another problem, actually. In the northern region, we have the Boko Haram. In the Anglophone regions, we have, you know, what we are having till date. And in the south regions, you know, every Cameroonian totally is not in accord with what is happening. So Cameroon is at the verge of exploding at this moment. When we talk about rethinking reconciliation, we need, what we need to know is going back to the peak, because we cannot try to solve, you know, a problem without going through the cause. We need to touch the causes. What caused the problem? Why are Cameroonians in loggerheads? Why are Cameroonians so divided? Why is there so much tension in Cameroon? These are the things we are supposed to touch. Because if we start by trying to think a reconciliated Cameroon without going through the problems, I think it is very dangerous.
Yes, but my question to Senior, how do we explain this? Is it because of the lies or what?
It is because at one point, history hasn't revealed to us who we are. There's a lot of hidden lies in our history. So we start to tell ourselves the truth about who we are, what we came from, who is who, and who is supposed to do what. I think that Cameroon will never come to a consensus. That is the problem. Cameroonians don't know the history. We're talking about history. History is us. It defines us, our personality. Where are we coming from? Who has done what? Who is supposed to do what? These are the questions we're supposed to answer before rethinking the reconciliation of Cameroon. It is very important.
Okay. That's why we say time to rethink. Like you say, we should rethink and then push for...
We cannot think, Mr. Kum, we cannot start thinking something without touching the problem.
I said rethink. Rethink means that...
Rethink means we're trying to go back.
Yes.
Okay?
Rethink means that you are taking stock of where you are coming from.
We are rethinking, going back to Zika archives. That is what Barrister was trying to explain. Yeah, he was trying to explain our history, because without going back to our archives, we cannot go to the solution of reconciliation.
Okay. Kangaroo man.
The kangaroo report.
Yeah. Over the years, we have known Cameroon. We are talking Cameroon, and we are 60 years, above 60 years after independence.
Yes.
Did we fail to build a Cameroonian identity? That is, if something happens to a Cameroonian today, the first thing that comes is, je suis mouvement 10 millions de nordistes. Nous sommes les Écans. We are. How do we explain that today, when something happens, the first thing that we think about is our region, our tribe, and not Cameroon?
Well, I think that if we pick up from where the errors are coming from, we could pick this up in the aspect of political science, and we pick up in the subject called public administration, at the same time, governments. Now, for those who have done political science, you understand that the aspect of governance is a science. And a science will tell you that once you put in place a wrong formula, you get the wrong answer.
Okay.
It still boils down to what Leonard Barrister was enumerating here.
Okay.
And what Akwen was equally mentioning. Because in political science, they call it a science because there are methodologies that are required for it to operate. And once you take a shortcut, your answer can never be right. Your answer will be shortcut answer.
Okay.
And it means that along the line, taking into consideration the historicity that governs us, some people somewhere played a foul game. Meaning the policy of assimilation and the agenda of usurping the minority class was earlier designed vis-a-vis the connivance with the colonial masters. Because you can't imagine that we were like given as a gift, because the options we were given to join the so-called brothers in quotes was not even a favorable condition. It means that everything had been cooked, and the only thing now was to give the semblance as if we have fully agreed. You can't tell me that we are in Manfi, we are in Fumban, and at the same time a document moves back to La Republic Parliament, and they worked out 88 who votes a constitution which comes back and is binding on to us. And at the end of it, even the poor Foncha we are blaming did not even master the mafia that was taking place behind his door steps. It means that the issue was carefully worked out. That is why I said, Mr. Leo, from the analysis of senior barrister, it tells you that the historicity of the whole aspect boils down from the roots. And now, when I see some of the hand clappers in the nation's capital in Yaoundé, and the so-called elites who are watching us now and licking their mouths and preparing to blow false grammar, will begin to tell us that we went up, we came down, it was in an agreement. But then, there are classified documents that are telling you that there was a parliament. How many historians watching us now have been able to tell us that there was another agreement on the constitution that took place with the 88 votes telling us that this is how it should be? How many? Of course, we are able to get some of the things coming out now, which means that some people carefully worked out our assimilation so that at a point in time we will become entities of no value. But it doesn't work because we are talking at a time whereby there are documents that begin to unfold the things. Now, at the crossroads, so to say, you get to realize that for the fact that everything is falling apart, when I say kangaroo government, Yaoundé, I say this, you know what I'm talking about. Because I said earlier that some persons who were drumming this issue from the beginning, calling themselves songbirds in 2017, are shifting their positions as I speak. The grammar, they could tell us that there's no Anglophone problem. The grammar, they could tell you that there is national unity. The grammar, they used to say, no, we are living in the spirit of vivre ensemble. It is even touching them. Yeah, Mr. Leo, it's touching them.
But I want us to go beyond the Anglophone crisis here because what is strong?
That's why I say it is touching them.
Limited to the
because I'm coming to when I say touching them, Mr. Leo. What does it mean? It means that they too now are getting to be affected.
Yes, because
you could not tell me that people in Bali, in Douala could rise one day and say that they are being marginalized.
It's
not occurring.
I want us to broaden the discussion because there is a problem with the Bamile case. There is a problem with the Ekangs. There is a problem with So I want us to look at it from a broad perspective. Yes,
Mr. Leo, you see, when you go out of Cameroon, if you leave Cameroon and go out to any country, you meet any Cameroonian. He will not tell you he's a Cameroonian. He will tell you brother or sister. It is when we come back here, we come back home, that we become Bambeleke, Bayangi, Ewundo, Basadwala. When we are out of the country, that is where we see our true color.
That is the question I've asked.
That is where we see our true color.
The question I ask.
When we come back here,
did we fail to build that Cameroonian identity?
Let me learn now, sir. The Cameroonian identity is in difficulty because of certain practices. One, tribalism. When you put a place in a government wherein 3/4 of the ministers come from one tribe, and all the others are allowed to sit helplessly and watch, what do you expect the nation to think of you? When you put in place a system where admission to professional schools is on tribal basis, what do you expect? You put it in a system where, look at the procureurs generals, the procureur de la République, the presidents of the chief justices are all from a certain tribe. What do you expect? You put in place a system where, because you at the top are practicing tribalism at the utmost, every other person who has an opportunity will say, let me also make use of this opportunity and help my own people. So you see, tribalism is being erected into a rule of governance.
Okay.
Now, we take another example. Egocentrism. When you look at the national investment budget, they tell you that a certain division in the south has the biggest amount of money for national public investment budget.
Yes, budget that is bigger than what is
go there. Go there. Is the place developed? Is the place developed? You see, it is crazy. Where all the money is sent is not developed. What? Because of the money. It is siphoned into private pockets. And these are people who don't have any iota of the Cameroonian nationalism in them. All other money is sent to them to develop their area. It is all siphoned. Whereas that money that is being sent to their division is the money of 2 regions put together. Egocentrism. They are all thinking for their pockets and their stomachs.
Okay, Senior Barrister.
Yes, sir.
We hope that when the Reform Party takes over, this is going to change.
You can trust me, sir.
Yes, let's listen to the national president of the UCPP party, Mr. Nchia Roland. Tell us where he actually situates the nation as we speak. You are reading of things, Mr. President.
Yeah, truly we are at crossroads because, 50 years of our independence is 50 years of little hope. So I believe that we are looking forward to have a younger regime because Mr. Biya is unable to continue with this very difficult task of making our country to become a middle-income economy. So I think we need to understand that the gun cannot take us to the presidency. The gun cannot bring us peace. The gun has brought us a lot of hatred, a lot of disunity. So I'm calling on all the separatist fighters who are in the bushes to continue to drop their weapons and pick up a better life because I believe that democracy can start from the levels of these councillors, mayors to become parliamentarians, and why not senators and the head of state. So if Mr. Biya does not decide, to come up with a quick transition, that's going to lead to a peaceful democratic elections, I believe that Cameroonians have to wait. Mr. Biya at the moment has his mandate that expires in 2025, without which if he does not decide, to end the mandate, we are going to wait. There's nothing we can do. We're going to wait patiently, hopefully that Cameroon can, can be changed once more. Because if we had a younger president who can, to walk around, look at our projects, look at what is happening in the country, I believe that we can have better Cameroon. So I believe that we have a presidency where our country is not governed. Our country is governed by ministers, by people who are not elected of the people. So they are doing what they want, what they can do, but they don't have that legitimate power as the elected of the people. So I believe that we are looking forward for a new regime because we believe that in my capacity as a former insider of the system, I don't think we are going to have a cabinet reshuffle soon. I don't also believe that we are going to have a new government, but I believe that all these ministers will end the regime. I know that they're going to end the regime because Mr. Biya is not willing, to make cabinet reshuffle. So I believe that all these ministers in the system are going to end the regime. But we're hoping now that when a new government comes, we really wish to have we need to have a ministerial department which can be that of the Ministry of Reconciliation that can bring Cameroonians together, that can apologize to Cameroonians, because I think all of us are Cameroonian by blood. We need this reconciliation from the level of the 10 regions, 50 divisions and 260 municipalities. We need national reconciliation from all Cameroonians from the diaspora, that they can come back home. Most Cameroonians are there in the diaspora. They cannot come back home because they fear the same. Most of all, we have freedom of speech. We don't have freedom after speech. So I believe that it is high time for us to understand that we are children of the one nation. We are one Cameroonian people. And I believe that together we can fight poverty through working together, not fighting.
Okay, he said lots of things there, but he is saying that if we have to take this reconciliation stuff seriously, there is need to be the creation of a ministry that is going to work to reconcile all Cameroonians across the nation, and possibly also work on the diaspora. You have been very concerned about the diaspora because you see they are afraid to come back. Even I'm sure he raised the issue of freedom of speech. We are going to be coming back to the president out there, but let's move on with our discussions here. Do you also have this mood of frustrations when you listen to Cameroonians express themselves across the 10 regions of the nation?
Yes, Mr. Kum, it's something that is eating really deep into the marrows of Cameroonians, because when we hear other people talking, we believe that it's only the English-speaking Cameroonians that have a problem. No, all the 10 regions are having a problem that we are supposed to admit. But I want us to understand that what has caused this so much problem in Cameroon is because of the wrong political policies that were brought to us by our colonial masters.
Okay.
Things like, in those days we had Cameroonians, we didn't have words like sardinas, tontinas, Southern Cameroonian, all these things, these appellations, these divisions. It is because during, the colonial period, when these people came to us, they brought to us wrong political policies. And I believe that it is these wrong political policies that has developed the hatred Cameroonians have between themselves. I tell you, because everything in Cameroon is politicized. Politics has destroyed Cameroon. If we go through tribalism, it is brought by politics. If we go through favoritism, it is brought through politics. Politics in Cameroon has come to destroy that bond we had before our independence. Politics has come in Cameroon to destroy that bond, that love, that unity. In those days, those appellations were not existing. But today you will see somebody, he's in Cameroon. Who are you? I am from, je suis anglophone. Another person will tell you, je suis moi ekan. We are all Cameroonians. Why? Because the wrong policies that we inherited from our colonial masters has destroyed us. Today we are having schools like Enam. If you are not from a particular region, you are not admitted in this school. If you don't have a godfather, you are not admitted in these schools. These are some of the things that cause a division in Cameroon. Some people who call themselves nous sommes les investisseurs. They are the ones having all the money in Cameroon. All these are these things. These are wrong policies that were brought to us by our colonial masters that has been used to destroy Cameroonians. If you go out, Mr. Kum, like in other countries, Cameroonians are so united outside. You understand? They are so united. When you go outside, like Senior Barrister Ashu said, you go to the US, we meet, we are brothers. But once we come to Cameroon, we are so divided. Why? Because of the wrong political policies brought to us, because of favoritism, because of who we are, because of your region you're coming from. And I think that we need to start working on this thing. We need to resensitize Cameroonians. We listen to the person that is representing the party, I don't know the name. He spoke about creating a ministry.
That's the national president.
National president, okay, sorry. He said creating a ministry of reconciliation. Mr. Kum, Cameroon is a country that has so many ministries already, okay? A lot of bureaucracy in Cameroon, and it has solved no problem. The Anglophone problems, they have created the Bilingualism Commission. What has it done till now? Nothing. So I think that all the creation of these ministries wouldn't help anything. The most important is for us to go back to our roots, identify who we are, identify the problems, solve the WH questions. What have we done? Where have we gone wrong? Who has done this? Who is supposed to do this? Who has done this? These are the questions we are supposed to answer. If we fail to answer these questions, I believe that we will still have a Cameroon that is so scattered. We will still have a Cameroon that is so disordered. We will never have a consensus. Today we are rethinking of going back to our archives. It is very important for us to go back to our archives, because if we do not dig back to our archives, we will not be able to identify who we are. We will not be able to identify who went wrong. Because if we are thinking of reconciling Cameroon, we need to understand who is supposed to do what, who has done this, who was supposed to do this. These are the questions that is very important for us to answer before we start rethinking or trying to build a reconciled Cameroon.
Okay. Fah Elvis, Tamnjong, we are talking about the country at the crossroads. Are we also at the crossroads because of what many persons have termed or described as generalized corruption, where with impunity, resources that are meant to cater for you and I and our brothers and sisters in different places have been siphoned and taken care of by a select few?
Well, the issue is very interesting in that probably I give some rhetorics based on what the national president just said of the political party I watched there while coming to the issue of the corruption here. I actually heard him talking about reconciliation and a handful of other things. But I think that a commission or a committee on reconciliation now is still, it might be another fast, except those who will be manned now have to be exceptional. I'm talking because we've created commissions and they are not producing results because of their modus operandi. Not because the people there cannot work, but because they are working on guidelines put in place by that same structure. Now, if you look at it, as I said, if you want to solve problems in Cameroon, I don't see why we go around rigmaroling in the bushes or in the bush. Let me not turn to my minister who has been playing grammar in a type of way. But the main issue is simple. If you want reconciliation, Mr. Leo, in the conflict resolution aspect, there are some principles that has to do with mutual trust. Now, who is engaging in the reconciliation process? Is it the person that people lack confidence in, or is another person creating it? What does it mean? It means that if the same regime that has put in place bad governance and it has produced the quagmire situation we find ourselves involves in a reconciliation, it will be a little bit difficult. Because even if it looks genuine, because the other fake issues called national dialogue did not work or was on a backdoor pocket matter, the fact that other commission on bilingualism, disarmament, reconstruction, and all whatnot are not working as per se, it means that the parties concerned will still have it difficult to trust this same body. What is the way forward before I talk about corruption? If Yaoundé, they pack their bags and go deliberately, and they put in place another transitional system that could come in to begin to talk about national reconciliation, which will now be holistic, in that it will include persons of good morals. We have Barrister Nico Halley. This is the kind of person if I see them in that kind of structure. But then, if you put Barrister Nico Halley now in a reconciliation committee or commission created by the same system, there's no magic he will perform. Because they will put it selling the goat and holding the rope. They were stifling whatever measures could come in. But if you put in place a new transitional government, that put in place, we have Barrister Ashu, Senior Barrister Ashu here, Emmanuel. These are the persons, if we see them in the Commission of Reconciliation, and they say, please, hold on a bit, we'll be able to hold on without any doubt because we know that they're people of caliber. But the moment you take Senior Barrister Ashu, you take Senior Barrister Nico Halley, and a host of others, including the moderator of the PCC, Bishop Nchia, and put them in a commission created by the same regime, it will be a waste of time. Now, let me come back to the issue of corruption. Corruption, to me, I will not call it a problem as of now, because the regime has made it not to look like a problem. The regime has made illegality to look like legality. That a young man who becomes a custom officer with one white V, earning 87,000 francs, automatically start building skyscrapers and running Hummer jeeps that are worth for billionaires. And yet it goes scot-free. It means that the regime has failed to act or put in place checks and balances on the person that work in this domain. You will tell me that if you are getting to the gendarmes, those who get into the regular gendarme bribe, but not as much compared to those who want to go into the sector of routier. Why? Because at the level of the traffic gendarme officers, their own benefit is extraordinary, which overrides that of the normal gendarme officers. And that is why the money you have to go to that department is higher compared to somebody who is going to normal gendarme force. The same with the police force. Those who go in for routier, as they call it, that's the traffic police forces, or police force rather, their own money that they put in. They know, they get what I'm saying. This one is not a lie. They know what I'm talking about. And they have paid those monies, and they are still paying as I speak. So if you look at it critically, the corruption now is the fact that people and the system rather has made people to believe that if you have to involve yourself in corruption, it's a normal deal. If not, why will people be crying foul games on corruption day in, day out, and no one is punished? That a gendarme officer on the road takes 1,000 francs in the watchful eyes of everybody, and it's no longer a deal. Yeah, it means that the government has legitimized that. So the issue is the government itself.
You can't say the government has legitimized that when we have high-profile ministers in prison. Yes.
The government. Let me repeat this grammar. Yaoundé, yes, very well. Yaoundé, you have legitimized it. I am saying it.
Who has sent the guys to Kondenge?
The guys in Kondenge, Mr. Leo, look detailing why they are there. I say again, they didn't go there for the money, because if they went there for the money, the steps would have been put in place to recover first the money. No, if you steal 50 million like what Ndong did, the former general manager of FECOM, no one is asking you, they have recorded this amount. Now, you could keep the money and they keep in Kondenge. It means that something else is keeping them in Kondenge, because, Mr. Leo, anywhere for embezzlement, the first thing is to recover the monies which you have been able to embezzle. Now, look at it critically.
Recover from where?
From where it is. If you're under prosecution, okay, it means that there should be judicial proceedings which will warrant you to first of all hand over the money. Now, most of them who are there, their monies are saved in their accounts where they are. Some of them leave in the evenings, go and carry, or in the afternoon, go and carry out their businesses and come back. Most of them are in VIP cells in the Kondenge, which tells you that what brought them there is far more than the corruption they're talking about. In a nutshell, Mr. Leo, I would tell you that even the tax officials, if you go to clear your container at the port, no one is telling you the exact parameter that it takes to quantify your container and how much you pay. Do you tell me that it's a normal thing? If this country was not built on corruption, put in place by the system, there would have been clear parameters that a 50-feet container weighing this amount, with this good is costing this amount. It would have been made public. Like my meter price should have been indicating people with tax experts to tell you that this is how it is. But now, it is left at the whims and caprices of the officers. So that at the time they are giving you a high cost and you cannot attend to it,
Yes.
you start thinking of moving behind the door.
Senior
This is corruption supported by the government. So the government itself is the one who has put in place that system.
Yeah,
we are listening and I know what I'm talking about.
We are looking at specific aspects that might have pushed the nation to find itself at the crossroad, and what we need to rethink about it and then push for national reconciliation. That is, in the case of corruption, it means that our resources are now being chopped by a few. How do we change the current situation so that every Cameroonian from the east region in Kimbong or wherever should actually feel like be receiving and feeding from the national cake?
Thank you. You touched the crucial point at the last minute. Feeding from the national cake. Because it all boils down to...
That's the rethinking. How do we rethink so that... what is
feeding from the national cake.
Yes.
When Ahidjo was president, we all saw that the biggest businessmen in Cameroon were all from the north. Now we have somebody from... all the big business people are also from. So, wait for the day when Ashu will be president for all the businessmen to be from Manfe. It's total nonsense. You see, we have to go back and revisit the political thinking of Ahidjo.
Okay.
We may blame this man for many things, but there was something he did that was commendable. Ahidjo came out with what he called the Cameroonian identity. He started by creating a school that was supposed to produce model Cameroonians. Bilingual grammar school Boya. He went to Yaoundé and he had the lycée d'application. He said d'application Yaoundé. Now, I don't know, I'm at a loss, why this sumptuous project was brought to an end. Because in Bilingual Grammar School Boya, you had children from all over the nation who were all brought together inside the same class. They were all tutored and they went through the same system for 7 years. In fact, if you meet those children who went through that experiment, you will find it difficult to say this one is a Bamileke, this one is a Bafia. We are all brothers. If you come to Douala here, you have people like Emmanuel Kunye. Oh, was Kunye there? No, I don't think Kunye was there. Kunye was at the university. We have so many of them who left Bilingual Grammar School. I mean, they are brothers. They are not friends. We ate the same food, did the same exercises, studied the same subjects. That was a very commendable thing. But for reasons I cannot understand, these fellows put an end to it. And today, the bilingual grammar schools have become bilingual commercial schools. They transform all the classes into commercial classes. And I mean, you have up to about, there are some classes that have 100 students in one class. It is nobody's business. So we have to come back to creating a Cameroonian identity. I have to commend this current government for something. I saw them attempt to come out with the definition of who a Cameroonian is. In the law, that a bill that has ended up, I don't know what has become of that bill. They brought it and said, to be a Cameroonian, you have to be a person who either originates from the Republic of Cameroon, which had its independence on the 1st of January 1960, or from Southern Cameroon that had its independence on the
1st of October
1961. Now, that one gives you a definition of a Cameroonian. Now, we have to progress from there and build up a Cameroonian identity. We know who a Cameroonian is. So, what should a Cameroonian look like? Should a Cameroonian be the type of person who, if he is given the opportunity to become a customs clearing agent, he will build the tallest building in Douala? No, sir. You see, there are so many factors that have contributed in damaging this nation. I want to differ a bit from Mr. from what Mr. Fah said, because he said he will not say corruption is not the problem. Corruption is really the problem. Corruption is the problem. You cannot allow one person to handle billions. I mean, it is unheard of. What is government money doing in people's hands? You cannot put billions inside the hands of one person and expect that person to be upright. I think that even if Jesus Christ was to come back here and you give him billions to manage, you will find some loopholes inside. No, you don't do that. State funds should be in the central bank. Why does Cameroon not have a central bank? It's a question that we still ask till today. Put all our monies in the bank. Let people manage figures and touch no money. The money should be in the bank. Why do you allow people to take monies? Now, you come to this their open air corruption. Mr. Fah was talking about our friends of the custom, the gendarmes, who collect monies openly. Now, Reform Party has a very good cure. You have institutional cures, because you cannot carry all Cameroonians to a school where you're going to teach the morals. That is not the point. I mean, if you know that you have a dog in the house, you will not leave your food on the floor and leave it open. The dog will eat it. So you take precautions when you know that you have a dog in the house. This country was supposed to make sure that, for instance, for the gendarmes who are carrying out those controls on the, and we all see them, why don't you dismantle all that nonsense? We should progress. Introduce electronic controls. What are we doing with a gendarme standing on a bike, stopping all vehicles that are coming? Let us introduce electronic controls, whereby you get a number plate. If it is a number plate they're checking, you have a number plate that is registered, and that number plate has an electronic chip. The moment you are approaching the control point, if that chip is present, the gate will open. If it is not there, then the gate will not open. That's when they'll call you, say, my friend, come. Why is your number plate not opening the chip, not opening the gate? Then you have a problem. So we should progress. We should not remain with the 19th century control methods of having a gendarme on a bike. You go to the same thing with the police people and the gendarmes who carry out investigation. Go to all the commissariats and the brigades. It's terrible. It's terrible. You tell somebody move, you are going to prison. I'm telling Mr. Kum, say move, you are going to prison if he has means. If he has a means, you are going to Nubel. Because the system is such that he just needs to arrange with the state council. The moment they bring you, you are finished. They sign the thing and you are gone. So why do the state councils not apply the law, which says Article 118 says clearly, if you know the man's house, you know where his house is. Grant him bail. No way.
Okay.
They send all of you to prison. Why?
Okay. So you're saying that the law, the courts, should do their job and also make sure that
the legal officials should do their job.
Can they effectively protect the resources of the people so that they are equitably distributed?
Mr. Leo, if you give the powers to the magistrates, they will do it.
Don't they have the power?
They will. What they are doing is because there's somebody up at a certain level who authorizes that nonsense under.
Okay.
If you go up to the level of the minister and say this is what is happening, you will see. You will see that, I mean, within 24 hours things will change. But the minister is up there. Many people say the minister is aware. He is not aware of what is happening down. Take it to his knowledge. You will see the change. Better still, take it to the knowledge of the president up there. Because many people say the president is aware of everything. No, sir. Take it to his knowledge and see whether it will remain unchanged.
Yeah, but
the mafia has been so well built that they give you the impression that they have umbrellas and they have boots. So they prevent you. They instill you some fear that prevents you from going higher. But if you go higher, you are going to get a solution.
Maybe, Mr. Liu, I just chip in, just a few minutes, maybe.
Deep monopolizing.
Okay.
Akwen, just briefly, very briefly.
Okay. Yeah, I think on the issues of what Barrister is just enumerating, you see, I still make mention of the fact that the issue is not the corruption, the issue is the governance. If you have a perfect governance system, all these things take automatic control on its own. That is the magic of administration, public administration. The moment you have a perfect system that has separation of power, checks and balances, you will start seeing things working without you running after. And that's why I said that, like he made mention of the issue of automatic control and things like that. Those things are put in place by the government. If a government refuses, just like Barrister is talking here about the fact that if this is happening, sometimes the ministers are not aware, or the president, no, those are really administrative lapses. If you are a government, you are a president, you are a minister, and you are not aware of these things, it means your command chain has a problem. You are not fit to be a minister and a president. Okay. With immediate effect. Okay. There is no excuse for that.
Good evening. God was not stupid to give all the villages different languages. Women, the World War I and II divide the whole world, not just Cameroon. The Southern Cameroonian problem is that we came together as equal party. If Cameroon is still sleeping, they will not, that there is no tone in this matter. I can't understand your message. Good evening. You're writing from the United Arab Emirates. Good evening to all the wonderful panelists. I want to ask if Mr. Roland is an opposition party to CPDM or an ally. He usually says that we should give Biya enough time to accomplish what he started. Where is his position now? Greetings to all the members of the fan club. Emmanuel is writing from Tole. Good evening, Mr. Kum and all the panelists. I want to salute the senior barrister. The choice of the topic only speaks the minds of most Anglophones. That is why we are failed to delve into the reality of Cameroonian politics. The issue here is that there is an invisible hand navigating, you meant invisible hand navigating the problems of national unity, which we all want to hold. But that notwithstanding, going back to history is the best way forward to enter into the future. Truth, and the truth is the only way out of the collaboration with history can save us. Molombe Hans is writing from Boya. Daisy writing from Kumba says, good evening, Mr. Leo. Daisy, we're glad to read from you. Let's look at Crossroads from the judicial perspective. Do Cameroonians across the board feel that the justice system in the nation is there for them? How accessible is that for them?
You know, Mr. Kum, the justice system in Cameroon is really handicapped. Okay. It is at, I can say we have no justice in Cameroon because justice delayed is like justice denied. The justice system in Cameroon is so weak. It's so vague. You understand? Look at what happened in 2006. We spoke about corruption and Operation Sparrowhawk that took a lot of ministers to prison. Will you tell me that's justice? Will you tell me that the judicial system in Cameroon is really working? No. These are political problems that have been tackled politically using the judicial system to vindicate what they are talking about. We had something in 2021 with the, you know, the COVID-19 funds. To date, the audit room came out publicly and said 18 billion has disappeared. These guys are still breathing free air. So I think that justice in Cameroon is not really equitable. Like, you know, my co-panelist from the CRM was saying, Mr. Kum, you cannot come in a country where the system is not really well placed and you want things to work normally. You understand? We have wrong political system. We are having a wrong, you know, foundation which we build on. We cannot start, you know, touching things from, like, you know, you're pointing the ministers, you're pointing. These people are working according to a commandment that was given to them by a system. We have a corrupt system, and this system tells you when you come here, you're supposed to work like this.
The judiciary is supposed to be independent.
It cannot be independent in a country where a constitution is so centralized to one person having power. When you look at the 1972 constitution, Mr. Kum, the judicial system of Cameroon is still answerable to the executive, which is the president, who is the head of the executive. So you cannot tell me that the judicial system of Cameroon is so independent, whereby we have the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court still takes commandment from the president. He's the one that assigns the high judge.
That all the courts that are all the decisions that are taken in Boya in Douala here, they have to consult the Yaoundé.
They don't have to consult the Yaoundé regime, yes, but they are working according to a system. A system is like something that has been put in place. It's like, you know, a Bible which you follow.
What if you were a magistrate today? Are you saying that you would be corrupt because a system has asked you to be corrupt?
Like, you know, Fah Elvis said, You can have a goodwill while you're being appointed somewhere, like a minister or something. But once you come into a system that is corrupt, in a system that has already maneuvered everything, and they come there, they tell you, this is how you're supposed to work. Mr. Kum, for you to keep that position, because you are greedy, because of the greed we have, you'll be forced to abide by the rules and regulation of that system. That is the problem we have in Cameroon. Our judicial system is not autonomous. Our executive system is answerable to the president. Meanwhile, they will tell you that our legislature, which is another big problem in Cameroon, that has a lot of roles to play, is not independent. You will not tell me we are having the transfer of powers in Cameroon. Everything is centralized. The 1972 constitution has handicapped Cameroon. That is why I say we have a wrong system. If that system is not tackled, nothing can change. And that system can only change if the regime is being moved, if the head of that regime leaves, because he is the person that changed that constitution.
When the UPC will take over?
The UPC has been doing great things, Mr. Kum.
I'm saying that
we are the people
where you take power.
Of course, we are the legitimate people that are supposed to take power, Mr. Kum, because we were the people that fought for our independence. We were the people that fought for this reconciliation that was, handicapped by the 1972 constitution by President Biya.
I hope you're asking people to register so that 2025 they'll vote you.
Yeah, Mr. Kum, registration into the electoral list is a civic duty of all Cameroonians. Okay. But we need that the electoral code should be changed, because if it is not changed, nothing will happen. You cannot be in a system that is already corrupt and you think you can change anything. Everything has to move, like transition. Everything has to move and go so that the new people will come and change everything. We cannot add old wine into new wine. No, it cannot work.
Yes, senior barrister works with the court,
He works with the court, but when we talk about the judicial system of Cameroon being independent, it's like, trying to say that Cameroon is at peace. It's like trying to create something like it's a cosmetic thing. The judicial system of Cameroon is so not independent. We have political prisoners today who are in prison. They didn't carry arms, Mr. Kum. These guys protested peacefully, and our constitution gives us that right. Why are they in prison? It means our judicial system is still commanded by a regime, by a system that has been put in place to work for one man, and that man is President Biya. Until he lives with his system, nothing can change.
Senior barrister.
With all due respect and in all fairness, I think we should give glory where it belongs. Cameroon has one of the best judiciaries in Africa. I think we have one of the best judiciaries in Africa. Please, no, look, we should not tell lies. The fact that we have political prisoners should not mar the reputation of our magistrates. We have very good magistrates. You see, there are instances where there can be a miscarriage of justice.
We didn't talk about the personalities of magistrates. We spoke about the judicial system.
Excuse me.
A system, the justice system,
please,
not persons.
Please, I've been doing that. I've been working with that judiciary for 38 years.
Okay.
And I know what I'm talking about.
Okay.
I say we have one of the best in Africa, because a citizen who hasn't got money can see justice, can obtain justice.
In Cameroon?
Yes.
Like, seriously?
Oh, please, go down to the quarters. It is not only rich people who get justice.
Wow.
Poor people do obtain justice. Justice is not for sale. I don't want to hurt the images of magistrates. Now, I said in all fairness, we don't have a judicial organ in Cameroon. I understand your point. The point is that our judiciary is not independent. That has nothing to do with the competence of the magistrates.
We didn't talk about
the magistrates are very competent, but the judiciary is not independent.
Senior barrister, I spoke about the system. I spoke about the judicial autonomy of our judicial system. I didn't talk about or question the personalities of the magistrates or lawyers we have in Cameroon.
Can you allow me land, madam?
Please.
Can you allow me land? Now, I'm saying that in Cameroon we don't have a judicial organ. We have a judicial authority, which is under the Ministry of Justice, which is under the government. So it's a typical example of what prevails in a dictatorship, where one organ is followed by another. But I am trying to elucidate the point, make it clearer, because
just lost in your thoughts.
I am telling you that our judiciary the magistrates are quite competent. The problem is that the system is such that you cannot obtain the best of decisions in the courts. Okay, now let me take a simple example. Which is the highest court in our land? No, sir, the Constitutional Court. The Constitutional Court is the highest court. Now, you see. Okay, it's the Constitutional Court. Now, that is a paradox because the highest court that entertains matters, litigation, is the Supreme Court. And the Constitutional Court, it is not open to you and I. That is the problem. It's not open to you and I. So, you cannot expect a citizen who is aggrieved to carry his matter to the Supreme Constitutional Court, Constitutional Council. You cannot expect that to happen.
Okay, let us move over.
So it is an administrative court.
Let us move over to.
We have administrative courts.
Let us move over to Yaoundé to take another listen to the national president of the UCPP party, Nchia Roland. Tell us whether we can actually hope that the current system can deliver and push for this national reconciliation. Can we hope in the current regime? Meanwhile, we send special greetings to you, Madam Marie Esinge, the director of Cameroon OIC, operating out there in Boya, Southwest Regional Capital. Yes, Mr. President.
Yes, once more, I believe that Cameroon at this very situation, I don't see any hope of change. I don't see any hope of economic development, economic progress with the same system of government where these ministers are always rotated. So most of the ministers are no more competent. Most of them are unable to implement their government policies with their various ministerial departments. So it is giving us a negative social surplus in our economy because the input that they're going to put and the effective implementation of their government policies at the various ministerial departments is making Cameroon to go downward. So I believe that Cameroon cannot progress with this same regime because they have been there for 40 years. We have not seen any major progress. I believe that we are all looking forward to have a new regime that will have Cameroonians at heart, a regime that will know how to share national cake 50% in terms of regional development, regional balance, in terms of government entrance exams, and now Kemia, the police school in Mutengen and that of Yaoundé, and you name the rest. So I believe that we are looking forward for a new regime, a regime that can take Cameroon at the heart, a regime that will be run by a younger president who will be able to walk around to look at the economic development in his country. So I think for now, there's no hope for Cameroon. Cameroon has no major hope because the system has failed us. The system has been there for 40 years of backwardness, 40 years of hatred. And I believe that we need to have a new regime which is going to look into the Anglophone crisis detailedly, a regime that's going to put Anglophones on the table, an official table, and talk with them that, please, look, our country cannot be separated. Look, this is that. We can still do like this. We can do things that are more than the special status. We can still work together as one people to fight for better Cameroon, if not for us, for our children. So I believe that in the present situation, Cameroon cannot prosper. So we are calling on Mr. Biya to start to understand that it is high time for him to look for a transition because
the national president of the UCPP party, talking there from Yaoundé, the nation's capital. We are going to be coming back to him in the course of the program. I wanted to call you Apostle. You were nodding your head while the president of the UCPP party was talking. Fah Elvis Tamnjong. I don't know whether you have a comment to make to what he said already, but I want you to look at the way our resources in this nation are being distributed. Do you think that could also be a bone of contention where we think that our resources should be aptly distributed?
Well, everything is wrong in the kangaroo system, from resources, poorly managed, to corruption. If you want to start listing the things here,
but you are well dressed.
Don't bother. That I'm well dressed. Yeah,
well dressed.
You would say well dressed, yes. But I think that if I am privileged because I have to walk extra miles, it doesn't mean that others must be privileged in the same line. Okay. Because some of us have to do about 5-6 things before we survive. But it's overworking ourselves because we'll pay back at a particular age, whether we like it or not. That one is obvious. Now, I think while talking about the issues of the distribution of the resources, which is not fairly distributed, just like an anecdote of what I got from our senior and learned barrister here, of course, saying that the most organized or one of the best judicial systems because even the poor can get justice. I don't know, probably he is talking, I don't know if he's from the moon or he's from on this planet, But I know that I could tell you that from what Akwen was saying, and the things are very obvious, you know. You could have, as I said, I've been saying this over and over. If you take senior barrister, Ashu, but you put him there in the presidency, there's nothing he will do. Because the system. No, I am saying, if you take, listen, I'm talking, you know what I'm about. I've not drunk.
Don't put me there.
If you take senior barrister, Ashu, Emmanuel now, you put him at the presidency with the current dispensations,
I will change
the goods will not be delivered as per se.
Like nothing.
It will until the foundation is amended. Now, I'm coming with this. I said sometimes that even if you bring eminence candidate to me, and the present dispensation, because the system has been carefully worked out, the first thing is to dismantle the network, which is possible. But then, it is not as easy as we think, but very, very possible.
But it's going to be dismantled by people.
Now, that's what
he is somebody.
I have said, that's what I've said. I have not said it's impossible. I have said that the system needs to be dismantled because if you work in the present system, the results will never come out. Secondly, on his outing, I have literally this. Now, if you look at the Font Do case, the one-time fund of Balikumbat at the point in time, Galiga, I happen to have followed that case closely, and I will tell you that those are one of the cases that were manipulated from higher quarters. And you could imagine a fined magistrate put in that case will not be able to go to because the instructions come from elsewhere. Basta knows about what I'm talking about. If you take the case of Vamuke, he is a lawyer. I am an investigating journalist. Get to Vamuke's file that has been adjourned over 67 times. And you will tell me if the station is just per the adjournment as per se or something else happens around the corner. Now, those are some of the cases I'm talking about. If you take the Zach Fonjindam's case, I can mention over 50 of the people as I'm sitting here, not after. That I tell you that as an investigating journalist, I move closer to the issues to tell you that even when we talk to the close associates, those who are holding the files, and they'll tell you that, bon, on fait, c'est qu'on a dit de faire. Now, you could imagine now that if we come on a media platform like this, when Cameroonians know the mafia as I'm explaining, and we say, no, the best judicial system is in Cameroon because even the poor can obtain. Sometimes question mark comes along the line. But nevertheless, it doesn't mean that there are some minor cases that cannot be handled under the jurisprudence of a particular judge. The cases that are not politically motivated, those ones you have your jurisprudence to, in fact, you can rule over them in latitude without anybody telling you that up and down. But if you have some political undertone, Mr. Liu, you will know that you have a boss. I am coming down to that. But then let's leave that one aside an aside, and we come now to issues that concern us as far as the issues of national cake is concerned. Obviously, as the whole issue moves, you realize that first, the national resources as per se are not evenly distributed for one reason or the other. And that is what is the indicator in it. Now, the indicator under political accountability, which is another course under political science, tells you that the moment you are unable to account for the distribution of the resources on the people that you govern, it means something is wrong. And that explains why you always get agitation from some parts of the people you governed against your system of governance. For example, the people in the east or the people in Akomdo would block a road and they tell you that we cannot be having forest and our timber moving out and we don't have light for over 3 years. It tells you that something is wrong somewhere along the line. Now, if you look at it, he comes from Manfe, and to know that timber had been leaving Manfe, huge timber before the crisis started, and yet we have areas in Manfe that are begging for concern. Now the question is, if we have a law that tells you that if you develop an area, if you're extracting a mineral from that area, there should be some amount of development you put back to the people who have that natural resources. It's on paper, fine. As Barrister said, one of the best laws, we have it. On paper, bam, I accept. Practically, zero. You have the year very well. Justice Ministries, I say it's zero. Now, if we come down to what we're saying here, we will be able to tell the people that the moment, one of the problems we have here is because resources are not fairly distributed. Just like we talk about national cake. If a man in Wa, a man in Galamanduka, a man in Maiduguri, and a man in Savongari realizes that some areas are enjoying positions of governance, like if you go to the South region itself, they will tell you that in a particular division, you have more government officials who are pushing back the border into their areas, and another area, you are not getting it. Yet you have educated persons. You begin to ask the question.
But those places
are we saying that
developed, like he raised earlier?
No, they are developed in some particular areas. If you go to Jah Elobo, for example, the capital of Jah Elobo tells you something different. If you go to the heart of Sangbalema, it tells you something different. The problem there is in the periphery. That's what they say. So, at the end of it, The people in the areas of that periphery are still telling you that they too are not feeling the pinch of the national cake. So if people complain that national cake is not trickling down, it means that the system of the distribution of the cake has a worry. That explains why you see some advocates will tell you that if power is brought closer to the people, and not the kangaroo system of what we call regional council or the like, no. I mean meaningful power is brought to the people, they can be able to harness their resources, and by so doing, it will give room for people to feel the pinch of the things they have, such that you, who does not have enough resources, you will start working on what to do to generate resources that will enable you benefit from what you get, and only a quota is dropped in the national treasury to man the security forces and other departments from the level of the central administration. Now, these things are very practical as far as governance is concerned. So, at the long run, Mr. Leo, the main thing we should be able to understand is that if resources are not equitably distributed, it boils down to the kangaroo system. When a kangaroo system exists, a kangaroo network is put in place. When a kangaroo network is put in place, a kangaroo effect triggers on the poor masses who tend not to suffer, and they are bound to complain. That is why, in the absence of political accountability, giving room now for songbirds who come and blow the grammar of the government, giving the semblance that everything is well. I've got my president in Yaoundé of that political party speaking. It is beating my imagination. Because I know that few months ago, the grammar he was blowing is not the grammar I'm hearing now. Anyway, people are bound to repent. So if people can repent before even dying, it means heaven will be their portion. It's a good thing, I appreciate. So at the long run, if all of us take the same line of facing things the way they are supposed to be in reality, because this platform, Mr. Leo, people know the reality of what the grammar we're blowing. We are not inventing in the air. So if we say that things are under control, the man on the ground knows that things are not under control, and knows that Fah Elvis is like that things are under control. Now, if somebody like my little brother tells you that no, even the poor man can get justice, well, we know that a man that has money determines justice system in the country. Now, it becomes another worry. But then, as I said earlier, we have few cases. We have magistrates. I don't want to be calling. I have magistrates that I can tell you that they don't take a single dime of what we call a bribe, which means that if you bring money to them, it even angers them. I say practical. I can say that here, and they're watching me now. But the question is, the few who have this system, with the kangaroo system that has engulfed a majority of them, to work the other way around, do we have a semblance of the effect on the ground? The effect is very minimal, because you could count some of those magistrates, some of those justices, and at the end of it, if a bulk of them are working the other way around, it means something is wrong. Therefore, a system that has check and balance will be able to correct those things. That's why, Mr. Leo, the moment Cameroon pulls out of the syndrome of strong people to strong institution, the solution begins to come. Whereby the institutions automatically tell you that if you don't function like this, it's like that. Do you know that in China, if you are caught corruption, that is embezzling state property, is death penalty. The same thing with North Korea. It means that there's not like a strong man. We have strong institution. Because according to them, if you embezzled money, it means that money would have helped to save lives of some people which were embezzled and people are suffering somewhere. Now, because the Chinese know that it is death penalty, the officials, they get into power and leave without touching one franc because of the consequences. But since as we have legalized corruption, I kept saying corruption is not a problem to us. The problem is the system, because if the system starts imposing this kind of stringent measures, for example, Mr. Leo, do you know that if a gendarme officer knows that he's caught taking bribe, he will be judged in the broad daylight with all media organs, including my media prime? That is filming the judgment and nothing like adjournment. And the sentence is given there, where everybody knowing that Commandant Ashu is going to prison. You know that people will start being scared to take 1,000 francs. But if we don't have that kind of system, it means that even at the Commandant or Ashu, one who is knows that, after all, my hierarchy somewhere have to take what they take, and I give them. Good
evening to you, Dean Frank Mbugong, Valerie Tamba. Good evening to you, Asari Itoni, Micheline Mitch, and to you, my brother Kaka Amazi, watching us from South Africa. Please greet Vanessa for us. Belfru, good evening to you, and last Roland, good evening to you.
I want to say something concerning.
Okay.
Mr. Fan mentioned some cases that require some clarification. Okay. The case of Fonga Galiga, Do Galiga, that is a locus classicus. I think if you don't know, if you don't have the facts of the case, you may be tempted to say that the strings being pulled from behind. But I want to say that it's a locus classicus in our law concerning bail. Mm-hmm. Many lawyers don't know they should excuse me, there are many lawyers who don't know that bail can be obtained under section 222 of the Criminal Procedure Code. So that case, for that the funds case, establishes that bail can be obtained for matters of misappropriation of public fund, capital murder. Bail can be obtained. That is one of the cases. The other one is from Boya, which is well, he is still serving. Let me leave his name. I say I have just two of them: the fund and this gendarme in Boya. So many people think that in matters of misappropriation of public funds, capital murder, there is no bail. No, sir. Bail is available under section 222. No. And that case you just cited is an example. So he should not say that strings were. Bail, excuse me, sir. I was just. I am just giving you. Please.
I can tell you the statement was transferred. I thought somebody who has a fact.
I am giving you something. You see, yes. That case is on all fours with the law. Okay. Now we go back now to the other cases you mentioned at the Special Criminal Court. I want to say that that should be taken with a pinch of salt, because you have to be in the file to know the difficulty that is causing the adjournment. No magistrate will take his pen to adjourn a matter for pleasure. There is a difficulty in that file which is causing the adjournment.
Barrister, you are in Cameroon.
Oh, senior barrister, sir.
Senior barrister, sorry.
Thank you.
And I can, because I don't want to develop this program, I can talk with facts and evidence on the ground. If
I have a question for senior barrister.
Yes, right.
We should not deviate from. We are talking about a nation that is at crossroads. This nation is expected to emerge by 2035. And today we are struggling to battle corruption so that we make use of the little resources we have. We have conflicts in the northwest and southwest region. We have in the east, in Boko Haram. How do we find a way out of this?
Thank you. If Cameroon intends to battle corruption, it should vote Reform Party into power, because we have the mechanism to end corruption in all its forms. I mean, that is as simple. If you want to battle corruption, forget about CPDM, forget about those Konak and those things. They don't work. Reform Party has the solution. We end corruption in Cameroon in all its aspects. That is simple. Now, for the other aspects that you are concerned, Cameroon is at the crossroads. Mr. Fah said here that if Senior Barrister Ashu were to be made president, he will do nothing. I am sorry, Mr. Fah. If I'm made president of this country for 6 months, come back here if you will not change your mind. I am telling you, I will dismantle the whole system and put in place something that is workable. Go through our manifesto and see what we propose as a government. 9 ministers, 1 prime minister. I mean, we'll dismantle the whole thing and put a system that is workable. What we have in place is a colonial edifice. You see?
It's easy to dismantle.
Or I can dismantle it, master. Don't waste your time.
Talking here.
Yes, I can dismantle it and put in place something workable that will go to the benefit of every Cameroonian. What we are complaining here today is because you, Akwen, Fah, none of us has his own share of the national cake. That's true.
That's why we're complaining?
That's why we are complaining. If those up there were in a position of managing the affairs of the nation in such a way that all of us have our own share of the national cake, there will be no complaint. Okay. But they take everything, they chop everything, we don't even see crumbs.
So you have your own, you stop talking too.
Wonderful. I say,
your party has a problem.
Mr. Fah, Mr. Fah,
your party has a problem.
Mr. Fah, I am saying that you should put somebody like me up there so that I will divide the food at
its. If you have this kind of philosophy, it means that.
Please.
Okay, sorry, sir. Just go on.
Senior Barrister.
Yes, sir.
I want to talk.
You said that if Cameroonians want to emerge by 2035, they should vote you.
Yep.
Yeah, but you are going to stand elections 20.
Sure.
What if another party wins or the current regime continues? What do you think you can advise for this nation to emerge?
Okay, the first part of your question,
yes.
I don't even see the current regime continuing because we are doing our best to make sure that they don't continue. If you want to doubt, just look at the performance of my children on the field. We are making sure that people register in the electoral registers. If you like, don't change the electoral code. We shall see how you win. Don't change it.
So you are going to change it now to win?
I am telling you, I say if you like, don't change it. We shall beat them. Wait, you will see. I am telling you. We are not taking it.
It's a nice dream all the same.
Don't bother now.
It's a nice dream. Even if it's a nice dream.
Mr. Fah,
yes, sir.
If you are privileged, well, I have been sending some of the information to Mr. Kum. If you like, I can send it to you. You see the images yourself. I am not talking out of enthusiasm. We are actually campaigning on the field.
Let me just assume that it's political communication you are putting in place. It's all right.
Well, if a party receives congratulations from a governor and from a DECAM, that is no longer political communication.
Jesus.
Okay,
so
maybe it's political propaganda.
All right, thank you. But we are actually leading the registration in the voters register in the Eastern Province. So don't even think that it is propaganda, because it is something you can verify.
Okay, Mr. John Bamenda, great senior barrister Ashu for the tribalism issue. He is right. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Leo and the crew. The person who says Cameroonians do not know their history, I disagree with that person. God bless you all. Good evening, Mr. Leo and panelists. Akwen, I want to differ with her when she said Cameroon was once known as a peaceful country. No, Cameroonians were living in fear of the unknown if they are to fight for their rights which were given suppressed. Okay. Alex Wung is writing from Ambam. Ambam is in the East region. Good evening, Mr. Liu. If a gendarme carries 20,000 every day and works for 40 years, how much has he embezzled? Bless is writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Kum and the entire panelists in the house. Mr. Kum, Cameroon needs no reconciliation, neither to rethink about anything. Our colonial masters and our French brothers, and everybody should just respect themselves. Mr. Kuma always say there is no need to wash a black dog. Okay. George Bisson is writing from Douala. You're writing from Douala. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu and all the panelists. Thank you for the contextual topic. If we as individuals have a rethink, then we can be able to build a better Cameroon. Muma is writing from Limbe. Justice in Cameroon is doing good in the interest of the strong. Jacques is writing from Mutengene. Good evening, Mr. Liu. You guys are doing a great job. My regards to you all on the platform. Thank you. This one says, some time ago, within 2019, in this program, the barrister urged Cameroonians to be patient and give President Paul Biya time to accomplish his vision. I wish to ask how much time. Tony is writing from Kumba. I'm not sure it is you. I'm sure he's talking about the president who spoke out there. Good evening. Special greetings to Mr. T. The issue is that Anglophones and Francophones see national unity differently. To Francophone, Anglophones ought to speak French. That's because they have the impression. Okay. Eshua Julius Fosun is writing from Kumba. Good evening, Mr. Kum, and your wonderful panelists. Your program is always awesome. Kudos. Our country is suffering from a well-planned, structured, divide and rule French colonial system of administration of its colonies. The only way for us to move forward is to visit the root cause of our problems and fix them. Okay. Good evening to you. This one says, I agree that a good system of governance will correct lots of wrong practices like corruption. John is writing from Banyo. This one says, Atem is Mr. Liu, and good evening. Once more, I love this program. The system is not only wrong, it's so annoying because innocent Cameroonians die every day because of poor justice. Luis is writing from Tico. Good evening to you. It's Noel from Limbe. I just want to tell the lawyer to watch the TV and get more information. I don't know what TV. He's already on TV. I don't know what TV you want him to watch. Yes, Ba Akwen and Nadieh, we still have time. I want us to look at the divide from Crossroads from the political perspective. We say that we are in an advanced democracy. We have more than 300 political parties. The parties themselves are so divided. Is that not also adding to the already existing problems that we have today? And there is need to rethink the motives, the real capacities of some of the parties to deliver so that even at your level, you can start thinking about reconciling?
Yeah, Mr. Kum, before I answer your question, there is a panelist that spoke about something which I said. Previously, I spoke about Cameroon enjoying minimum peace. That was before our colonial masters came with what they call independence and all that. So I want the televiewers to understand what I meant. Okay. Now, answering your question, you know, politics rules the world. You know, politicians worldwide, they call the shots, you know. Politicians, they decide to the fate of the lives of poor citizens, which we are. So talking about the division caused by political parties in Cameroon, it's really an important matter. Like I said, politics has divided Cameroon. Today we are having a country of 10 regions with over 300 parties and plus. To me, I call these parties as, you know, mushroom parties that are being created, you know, to support the regime in place, because we feel no impact of these political parties on the ground. Some few, we have just few political parties like the UPC and the CRM that are trying to, you know, do something on the ground so that people can feel that we have opposition in Cameroon. And I tell you that it's because of the greedy nature. You're going to back up your party, Barrister Ashu, Senior Barrister. Like I was saying that, you know, we have just some few parties, you know, in Cameroon that are still fighting for the interests of Cameroonians, like the UPC. We go back to archive. The UPC are the only legitimate people with our, you know, our manuscript we call Projet de Société. I believe that if the Cameroon government had decided to practice the Projet de Société of the UPC, we won't be having all what we are facing today, like division, and we are rethinking our reconciliation. And that is why I am saying that political entities and political parties today are one of the greatest division we are having in Cameroon. We have more than 300 political parties, sardinas, tontinas, names everywhere. People have tried to, you know, gather themselves and create a party just because they want to suit something, they want to fix something because of their greedy nature. Today we have parties today that are not fighting for the masses. Today we have parties today that are not fighting for the welfare of Cameroonians, and you call them opposition parties. No, these opposition parties are being created by the regime, because in 1990, when the president of the SDF advocated for multipartism, he came out with that project because he wanted a diversity in power, because the system was so centralized. But today this has been used to our disadvantage. 300 political parties, no impact, nobody is doing anything. Everybody is trying to grab his own share of the national cake, as our co-panelist, Senior Barrister Ashu said. And I think that that's a problem politicians are having today. So it is very important that politicians know their roles, because we play a major role in the history of our country, in the reconciliation aspect. Today we are having the Anglophone problem. It is a political problem. Today we are having the Northerners that are complaining that power has to go back. It is a political problem. The Southerners are saying power remains to us. It is a political problem. So to globalize all this issue, politics has destroyed Cameroon. And I think that the multiple political parties we are having are one of the causes why we are so divided. Today I am from the SDF, I am from the CPDM, I am from the UPC, I am from this, creating division. Meanwhile, what was being taught or thought by, you know, the SDF, the president of the SDF, which is Fah Elvis, he spoke about something that will rally people. For me, I think that all these parties should be nullified, and we create one party, Mr. Kum.
Who should nullify it? We should go back to the era of the CNU?
No, I said, listen, Barrister Ashu, I'm trying to develop something. I think that political parties are one of the causes of our division in Cameroon. So I am saying that we should nullify all these multiple 300 plus party. We create a genuine and strong party, opposition party, like a coalition, so that we can fight the system, because the problem we are having is the system. Senior Barrister, Senior Barrister spoke about him. If he's given the opportunity of becoming the president today, he will change the system. It is very correct, he can do it, because power in Cameroon is centralized to one man. Once you are the president, you have the beck and call. You are the president of the executive. The judiciary is answerable to you. The legislature is answerable to you. So you can do anything. But once you are just a minister that has been inscribed into the system, you have no power. You can change nothing, Barrister. You cannot be a minister and the president tells you, brother, I called you here. You have to work the way I want. You need to clap for me. You need to do the things I want. You do it, Barrister. So you will not tell me that a system is corrupt. A system has been maneuvered to serve one man, a Goliath. A constitution has been built to serve a person that they call our national unity, the 1972 constitution, which is a sham to me. It doesn't talk about our national unity, Mr. Kum. We cannot, like, we're celebrating the 20th of May. People are saying national unity, and we saw some people marching and enjoying themselves. To me, it was just a sham. And I heard some political parties, they call themselves opposition parties, saying verbally that we are celebrating our national unity. What are you uniting with? You cannot unite something that is already something which is single. Unity means bringing two things together. And I think that's the 1961 constitution, which was our national unity when the Anglophones voted to meet their brothers. But today, we are living a wrong history. And people are clapping every day on TV, everywhere, telling us about national unity. Living a lie. That's Cameroon. And politics has come to add salt into the injury. And we are talking about diverse political parties and all these things.
But now, how do we create synergy amongst the political class in the benefit of the Cameroonian people? But we take exception to describing something national as a sham.
Well, I take that it is my personal statement. Yes, yes, I take that as a sham because we cannot keep. We cannot keep. You made your point already now. Yeah, Mr. Kum, because you're trying to
talk, and we have just 30
yeah, Mr. Kum, you gave them time. They spoke for long. I haven't spoken, Mr. Kum. Let me learn. Like I was saying, you asked me a question. You asked me a question, Mr. Kum. You said, how are we going to do so that we can have a strong coalition party to fight the system?
How do we start the reconciliation process?
We cannot, Mr. Kum. We cannot start a reconciliation process whereby we haven't touched the problem.
No, I mean amongst you.
That is the thing. That's what I'm trying to say. We need to remove the greed amongst political parties, among political figures. We need to think a public thing, like have a public interest. We think Cameroon. We think Cameroon. We think of the poor masses. The woman who is in Mokolo, what is her problem? The woman who is in Bali, what is her problem? The woman in Santa. That is what politicians are supposed to think, because today, most politicians are thinking, how can I grab money for my pocket? How can I grab my own share of the national cake? How can I have a position and a title? How can I become an honorable? Honorable with a title with no impact. That is the problem.
Is that not what you're after also?
I am not after these titles, Mr. Kum. If you follow me online, you follow me on my media outings, I am an advocate to the good of all Cameroonians, the emancipation of all Cameroonians. And I think that that's a spirit that is supposed to be embedded in all politicians and all political parties.
Should you not convince senior barrister?
That is why I am preaching on this platform today, so that he can join me, so that together we can run forces and form a strong coalition to dismantle the system that has destroyed Cameroon. And today Cameroon is rethinking a reconciliation that is still yet to be tough in the minds of Cameroonians.
Okay, Fah Elvis, Tamnjong, this is a very tough one. You guys, actually politicians themselves, are you people not frustrated? Because seemingly you know not what the people want. Are you people not at the crossroads yourselves? Because you've been fighting for decades and nothing is happening.
When first you say we know not what the people want, it looks like we are doing the politics in the air. No.
Yeah, but you
the politics, we are doing a grassroots-oriented politics, which means we are with the people on the ground and we know what they want and we feel what they are also feeling.
Is that why we have more than 300 political parties? If actually you knew what the people want, Mr. and you know that...
Let me come back to the issue of political parties. I understand the way you are presenting it, but we should know how the kangaroo system functions.
Okay.
The systems of Africa, first of all, make the people poor, those who manage the administrative part. So when you become poor, you can easily be manipulated. Do you think that we have more than 60 to 67 to 65% of untapped natural resources both in the east and south? Do you think the government cannot get partners to come and do it? They know they don't have the reason. Because as they work under the influence of the colonial powers, if that is done, many people become empowered economically, and it will give a high degree of enlightenment. Dictators' regimes don't need that. I will tell you also on the issue of the political parties. Now, if you see a country's constitution tell you that there is an advanced democracy where you can create parties anytime you like, do you think that the regime does not know that the more they empower political parties is the more they fragment the parties concerned? Now, it is a carefully planned action that even within your party, they will want to infiltrate. If they look for those who are vulnerable, those who look hungry, and they want to infiltrate because we are talking about a situation whereby poverty is at its peak. in the country. That we must be able to admit. Now, not everybody has a conscience to withstand. Others could withstand, not fall into the temptation, as some of us are withstanding, not to fall into places that are juicy, because they are available. Yahweh knows what I'm talking about. But we say no, we have a course to follow for some of us, and we maintain that. So the political parties, many, is not because people are rushing to get political parties. It's because we also have what we call satellite political parties that are operating as opposition parties, but at the same time are working to give the semblance of opposition parties, whereas they work for the interest of the ruling party. These are things that are practically visible on the ground. Now, if we look at the issue of the political parties, as I said, the issue even of coming together is still another worry. Not because it is something that looks abnormal to arrive at, but because the regime that takes advantage of the people and their mentality is always standing by to make sure that they infiltrate from different angles to fragment. Why? Because they control the budget and the economy such that sometimes, because you need to feed your wife and your family and you need to survive, and they could call you out and say, okay, get a contract here if you dance like this tune, but don't leave your party, stay there and give me information so that I infiltrate. We have had several issues like that, where parties are moving on with members who are working for the regime. Now, it is a system of the regime. Any kangaroo system works other kind of system so that he has tentacles how to fragment political parties. And that's why I said that the issue and the semblance of advanced democracy is a sham. It is a kangaroo system carefully put in place by demonic principles to make sure that they weaken and reduce parties from becoming one another. Now, look, for instance, many people say, why would Kawala not come together with UPC? Why would it not come together with Senior Barristers Party and all the like? Now, the issue is that they will not come together because each time they have that move to come together, there is a fragmented move that is carefully worked out in the system to get into them.
You already know. Now, you already know that that's how the regime operates. Why do you allow yourselves to be?
No, you not, Mr. Leo. We're talking about human beings here. When you man a political party, you have an ideology, but you cannot fully take central control of all the people except you have the will and what it takes to keep them physically upright.
What you're telling Cameroonians is that there will never be a coalition.
No, you're not getting what I'm saying, Mr. Leo. I'm not saying that there's never going to be a coalition.
Because the government will
but what I'm saying is that I'm telling you exactly why it is difficult to arrive at. What I'm telling you is practical. Because we could stand on air and we blow grammar that would sound sweet to the ears of the people, but practically if we don't arrive at it, it means that we too are failing the people. So efforts are on the ground. From the outstanding parties, UPC, we are not refusing. MRC, we are not refusing. The other pocket political parties are playing their own jigsaw puzzle game just to pick up their own share of the national cake and do what they can do at the background. If I tell you how many times communication takes place between government officials and other political parties, you will know that satellite political parties is what I'm explaining here. Now, it's a manned system. I understand the system very well, though I refuse to be part of the system. Because if I tell you how many of them have spoken to me, they are listening and they are watching. Move here, get this. This job is waiting for you. Payment on the spot. You begin work tomorrow in less than 24 hours. With all the document process. I said, no, it doesn't work like that. Now, but the question now is, I might have a good background that I brought up in a God-fearing manner, but everybody will not have the same, Mr. Liu.
Okay.
Because we have people from different social backgrounds, and sometimes we cannot blame them if sometimes they are also hungry, and we cannot take charge of their worries.
Good evening to everyone. How do we celebrate a unity in means of divinity? We need a nation which is advocating and dismantle the political bombard, because it's not helping our nation, and let our government accept that we have a problem. Bredel is writing from Bumaka in Boya. I think that the issue deserving these mushroom parties in Cameroon is by passing a law in parliament that parties with no seats or with less than 5 seats in parliament should be dissolved. Thanks. Eno Victor is writing from Mamfe. Hi, Mr. Liu. If upon all the political parties we have in Cameroon and nothing is changing, it means they are just consuming state money. Okay. Good evening, Mr. Kum. I'm happy for the program that is going on. Oh, thanks, and God bless you guys. I'm Fah Oyongo writing from Bamenda. Good evening, Mr. Kum. Elvis is speaking my mind. If the system is not swapped, even you, Mr. Kum, becomes prime minister today, you will do nothing. More grace, Mr. Fah Elvis is writing from Limbe. With reconciliation, who shall implement? Okay. Jude in Douala says, I want Barrister to know that even if they put in president, he will be unable to change this country, even in 20 years to come, because the ruling party is chronic virus in the country. Yeah, but the ruling party will not be there. How can he be president and the ruling party is there, okay? Good evening, Mr. Liu. Our country only needs a divine intervention. You people are doing a great job. Thank you. Politics has not divided only Cameroon, but homes in Cameroon. Okay, Roland is writing from Yaoundé, which is true. Brothers are enemies today because of politics. Good evening, sir. The Cameroon problem is as a result of bad governance. We have professional thieves who have the leadership by the president. Okay, Oxford is writing from Douala. Let's take the last intervention of the national president of the UCPP party, Mr. Nchia, Roland.
Yes, I think talking about our national unity, that is 50 years after independence, we have had a lot of challenges, which ranges from, economic hardship. We have unemployment in Cameroon. We have a lot of issues. We have had also a regime which has stayed in power for so long, a regime which has already exhausted all their political and socio-cultural agenda. They have really failed to meet up with the aspirations of the Cameroonian people. So I think it is national unity of regret, national of backwardness, national unity where some of these leaders, these ministers who are in the system who have been put to work for Cameroonians have failed to differentiate between state funds and private funds. So the rate of investment has been too high. I think the only situation for us, now is to stay patient. And staying patient. Why? Because our country is a country where power is also gotten by the ballot boxes. So I call on all Cameroonians to understand that we are hopefully going to have anticipated presidential elections, or maybe the 2025 rendezvous. Without which we have to be patient and wait. What we can do is to continue to register members into the voters registration, so that we can fight a regime which has been unable to carry us to our destiny. So I believe that the only way for us to change the country is through democracy. And the only way to do it through democracy is by ballot boxes. So I think all Cameroonians need to be more patient despite the difficulties, despite the provocation from the regime. They have to be patient, and wait for elections. So I'm calling on all Cameroonians to continue with the voters registration. It is a message for us to stay strong despite the difficulties. Our country still has hope. But I believe that our country is not where it's supposed to be. The high rate of embezzlement that has made Cameroon to be backward. We are still crawling. We have not met the millennium goals in health, in public health, in education, in road infrastructure, you name the rest. So we have a fake program of 2025 development. It is a fake program because I think practically at the moment we don't have any hope, that we're going to reach this developmental trend. So I believe that Cameroonians are called upon to stay strong despite the difficulties. I call on them to work hard and remain law-abiding despite the provocations once more. So I believe that we can work together as one people despite... Hey.
Thank you very much, Mr. Nchia, Roland. Now, I move to you, the national president of the Reform Party. Certainly, you think that there is a need for a national reconciliation. How do we get there?
Thank you, Mr. Liu. You see, what is happening in France should serve as a pointer to Cameroonian politics. I want to remind the skeptics that when President Macron became president in France, he was not pushed by any political party. So those people who think that CPDM is all powerful, they should start having a rethink, because it's very possible for a Cameroonian who does not even belong to any prominent political party to get up and obtain the people's support and overturn the tables. Now, the second point I want to make is that when you talk of 300 political parties plus in Cameroon, you forget that the most prominent of our parties in this country is an illegal party. Illegal when you look at the law governing political parties. CCPDM is a party that has never been legalized by any person. Ask Mr. Tamnjong if he has legalized it. He should bring us the decree. The CPDM has never been legalized, but does that stop CPDM from giving us presidents, parliamentarians, senators, councillors? So why do you waste time talking about political parties when we all know that in Cameroon it is not a political party? The one that is there giving you all those people, the president, the senators, is not a legal political party. So we are being ruled by a group of people who have put themselves in the position to decide what they want to decide at any time. But that surely has a term that has to end. Because, like I was saying, when Macron became president in France, it was not a political party that pushed him forward. I mean, he came up, say, he just picked up supporters from left and right. He also obtained signatures. You see, so we should not give up because the people who are in place are all powerful. They look all powerful. They can be beaten. They have been beaten before. I think SDF had beaten them before. So if they have been beaten once, they can be beaten again. Now, your question was on national reconciliation. We started off by saying that we cannot talk national reconciliation without visiting the past to see where we went wrong.
Okay.
Let us see where we went wrong, and then from there now, we know how to go forward. We have already said the bases were not correct. The nation was built on the basis of lies and hypocrisy.
You read out with some documents.
Yes. Now that we know all that, okay, let us go ahead. The mismanagement and malgovernance has its part to play in the way the country has to go forward. Because what we have seen so far does not encourage any person in Cameroon to be a politician. Because if you want to be a politician, you have to wait for your brother to be on top of the plum tree so that you can eat black plums. And that is not what we all want. We want a country where the national cake will be divided equally to all the sons and daughters of the country. All the regions will have to have the same benefit. That simply means tribalism has to be put under the table, has to be shelved. Corruption has to be, in fact, Trust Reform Party, we have to finish with corruption. All the ills, you see, these people who go to school, come out and they earn a salary of 80,000 francs, they build skyscrapers. We have to come up with a law that brings people to account for ill-gotten wealth. Senegal did it. Senegal did that. And you see, there is some degree of sanity in the management of Senegalese public affairs. Because all the people who cannot account for their wealth in Senegal have been brought to book. So it can be done here. Those are things that will enable our society to have confidence in the development of the Cameroon nation. Now, there is this question of this man is a second-class citizen, this one is a first-class. Now, there is no reason why any person in this country should think that he is above the other. The law says that everybody is equal before the law. So it is just a matter of open eye. That's why people think that they are bigger citizens. There is no such thing. Everybody is equal before the law. Everybody should be equal before the nation. So the country should treat its citizens as equal. And if that happens, there is no reason why one person will call the other one Sardina, another one will call the other one Tongtina. Who in this country does not go to Tongtin? We all go to Tongtin. So why do you call another person Tongtina? In fact, there is the problem of laxity, because you see the laxity in the running of in the repression of certain matters. You see, I want to say that I said earlier that we have one of the best judicial systems, but when you look at the way the government is managing the magistracy, it's because they are very aware that magistrates can be dangerous. If you give them power, they will teach you. They will teach you the lesson. They can be very good at bringing people to account.
You mean they don't have the power?
They don't now.
So okay.
They don't.
Thank you. Greetings, Mr. Kum. I'm so impressed by the way the lone woman in the studio is talking. Please tell her I stand with her. Okay, Ngupol Ngong from Kumba, Akale Street, is saying that she stands with you. There is no independent judicial system in Cameroon. Let's say it the way it is. Okay. Emil writing from Jotin says, good evening, Mr. Liu and the panelists. We don't have images here. Okay. This one's Esther from Kumasi. Hello, Mr. Liu. Good evening, and to you all. The program is fantastic. Lista Montana from Yaoundé says, good evening, Mr. Liu. Your panelists for night are the best. Okay. Daisy says, today was indeed a hot day. Kudos to the entire team. I stay glued to my TV like never. Thank you, Mr. Liu. Daisy from Kumba. The lone lady, how do we get to instilling this notion, this spirit of national reconciliation in the minds of Cameroonians?
Well, Mr. Kum, previously we said when we started that we cannot talk about national reconciliation without touching the causes. We need to know the stakeholders. We need to know who is involved, who did what, who is supposed to do what, and who was supposed to do something. And, you know, everybody has to accept what he or she has done. Like we said in our proverbs, our Bantu proverb used to say, for a problem to be solved in the house, we need to know who caused the problem. I need to come out and say, okay, this is where I went wrong. This is where Barrister Ashu went wrong. This is where Fah Elvis went wrong. And together, we accept our flaws and we decide to change. That is the way forward. Because if Cameroonians do not accept their faults, do not identify who did what, I think that we cannot talk of reconciliation. I think we cannot talk of a united Cameroon. I think we cannot talk of that one Cameroon where people will not identify themselves like I'm from the northwest region, I'm from the southwest region, I'm a Kang, I'm Betty, I am from Bali, I'm from Akum, I'm from this, I am a Francophone, I speak the English and all that. These are appellations that have well divided us. Like I said previously, before the invasion of our colonial masters to Cameroon, Cameroonians were at peace. We didn't know division. We didn't know separation. We were living together like one man, one for all and all for one. That is the life we've been living. But after these people came with their political policies that we embraced without trying to get without understanding it. That is why we are in a situation that we cannot manage today. So I think that for us to reach a stage of rethinking Cameroon, we need to visit our archives. We need to know the stakeholders. We need to know who did what and who is not supposed to do this. We need to know our boundaries. We need to understand that love is the only thing that we are supposed to practice. Because, Mr. Kum, without love, we cannot rethink Cameroon. Without thinking a national interest, that is love. When you think Cameroon, you think a national interest. That mind should be instilled into Cameroonians. Forgiveness should be instilled into Cameroonians. You've hurt me, I've hurt you. This is where I went wrong. I am sorry. I will change and I won't do this anymore. I think that's a question the Yaoundé regime is supposed to organize. Not like what they organize, like we call the Grand National Dialogue, with all what they have been creating, like, you know, the Bilingualism Commission and all what they have created. To date, we are still having a divided Cameroon. The 10 regions are scattered. The southerners are getting up. The people from the center, they are getting up. The northerners say power should go back. Who should fix what? Let us revisit our archives. Let us touch that love, that unity, that Cameroon. I am a Cameroonian. That is my identity. Okay. I have decided to come back to that root who I am. I think it will solve the problem, and we're going to reach that reconciliation which we are all wishing to happen in Cameroon.
Good evening to everyone. Mr. Liu, we have all acknowledged the fact that the whole system has been corrupt and we still see no or any solution coming out from this government, but the best solution is for the opposition parties like that of Senior Barrister, that of the Kangaroo Man, the UPC, CPP, SDF, and all those who want solution in this country to come together as one and send the present regime to retirement, because once as they are still there, they won't go for retirement. If not after 2025, they will still come and on stage. Yes, still talking about corruption here and there, embezzlement, but that won't solve anything. Thanks. Terence is writing from Boya. Good evening to you, Mr. Liu. Mr. Liu, tell Senior Barrister that I want to be his branch president in Bamenda. Okay, you want Senior Barrister's number? Can you just call me after the program? I will connect you to him. Good evening, Mr. Liu. This program today is just one of a kind. How I wish it could be rebroadcast every day throughout the week. Ndimi Gilbert is writing from Melong, Agawa Fashion from Kumba. Yes, my friend says, Greetings, Mr. Kum and the panelists. I'm enjoying the program, particularly the deliberations. Hi to my friend Fah Elvis. Okay. When Senior Barrister talks about SDF once won the elections, what does he mean? Why is the SDF not in power since they won? I'm Jume Joel, writing from the MCFP party from Boya. MCFP party, would have written out now. Good evening, Mr. Liu. Yes, to push for national reconciliation, we need to look at the past and then know the meaning of reconciliation. To reconcile means something happened first before reconciliation comes. So, a lot has happened in the country that are the past till now. So from my point, if we want national reconciliation, what can be the solution is a simple word for is love. Cameroonians do not love themselves. Good evening. This is Marcel writing from Bomenda, the kangaroo man. How do we get Cameroonians reconciled?
Well, I've heard a handful of presentations. We should love ourselves. We should do this. We should do that. It is good. But Mr. Leo, the way forward is not this grammar we are blowing. The way forward is because when you preach love today, it will never hold because a system is causing the love not to move. It's a system that is fragmenting us, that you would think that you should love the next day, somebody angers you, and you start seeing him as somebody from the other side. It's a careful plan. What is the way forward? Way forward is simple. Since as the present regime has lost confidence in the people, even if they bring Jesus Christ and he's in the CPDM party, the results will not still go. It simply means that they go on leave. Dissolve parliament, because if you are talking about reconciliation, who will be those to put reconciliation? The man who said there is no Anglophone problem, the CPDM man or any other elite from any other party who is enjoying in Yaoundé and giving the president all is well back home. Now, if that kind of person is championing the cause of reconciliation, it still means no use. Therefore, the man will start seeing new persons in front. I say all those in Yaoundé should go. When they go, I mean go completely. Pack the bus and go to Equatorial Guinea and hide there. We begin to see new faces with people that matter. We begin to listen that this reconciliation can mean business. Because their footprint on the ground depicts evil. So if you tell me that a minister in Yaoundé that I know from my village will be preaching reconciliation, I'll say that one is blowing grammar in the air, it's hot air. Because I have never seen him doing something good in my community. Likewise, in any other area, since the problem has been caused by elites, the few elitist class who feed fat in the regime and sing a song on our behalf as if all is well, they cannot be existing. And I trust them that reconciliation is on the process. So, Mr. Leo, Yaoundé here very well. If you think that you love this country, pack your bags and go.
Why do you think people cannot, people can repent? Your national president wants to work with this government.
Mr. Leo,
are you saying he has not changed?
Mr. Leo, repentance is in relative terms. If you repent today, your footprint in the next few days will see whether you are repentant or not. If they can repent, Mr. Leo, we are not refusing. But these people I know, who even disguised as elected board members who are CPDM officials, and they are giving us wrong results.
Okay.
Can these people repent? The devil has taken hold of them to the highest order. Okay. They should go. If they go, Mr. Leo, as we begin to see new faces, new parameter put in place, new system, new parliament, new senate, everything should be dissolved. If not, we are wasting our time with this kind of people.
Senior Barrister, thank you for coming. I pray there is that opportunity to have this discussion with either Professor Victor Julius Ongo, because we also need to get back to history. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Leo. I want to thank the members of Reform Party in Boya who asked the national president to do everything possible to kick off something on national reconciliation. I think I'm taking that seriously.
So I read I read their mind.
Well, they did put up something in the party forum.
Okay.
You asked the question to one of the panelists, but you didn't ask me. It is very possible for political parties to do something on national reconciliation. Cameroon is a country with 240 ethnic groups. It is not a minus, it is instead a plus, because we can be strong in our diversity. We are diverse, but we can be strong because it's a God-given nation, one nation with 240 ethnic groups. We didn't split up because of intertribal wars I don't think small problems will split us. So it is very possible for Cameroonians to come together if we forget tribalism, if we all work in the common good of the nation and forget our personal stomachs and pockets, forget to favor our families, if work for the in the interest of the nation, then we are going to forge ahead. We should try to make it possible that every Cameroonian considers the other as an equal, not think that you are above other people, because that is the mistaken belief that makes some people think that they are overlords and others are their servants, which is not the case. If you think it is not true, well, take yourself 5 years back and ask yourself the question whether your attempt at whatever you wanted to do has succeeded.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Liu. I'm enjoying the program. I remember those days we used to sing patriotic songs in schools. Now, it all has turned the unending tears, okay, to unending tears. This country not only needs a reconciliation, but cleansing, patience. Munjema writing from Boya New Layout. I'll end with a greeting to you, Sabina Ikoli, who works at Government Technical High School, Moliko Boya. We want to thank you all who took time off to watch this edition of the program, and a special thank you to the producers Eli and Desmond, and to you, Tabi Tambe Bryant, who is supervising the work we do out here. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.